Good evening and welcome. My name is Mark Kinney, and I'm the Senior Vice President of Member Relations for the Independent Pharmacy Cooperative. Tonight, as part of the IPC webinar series, we are pleased to present Wayne Glowak, Chief Marketing Officer at FarmFresh. Wayne is co-author of Healthcare Tsunami and has spoken nationally on topics of healthcare consumerism. Wayne taught branding and advertising at the University of Wisconsin School of Business and the Small Business Development Center. He has consulted corporations of all sizes and numerous healthcare providers, but his real passion is helping smaller businesses like independent pharmacies compete and thrive. I will now turn the program over to Wayne.
Well, good evening, and thank you for giving up some of your time tonight to hopefully get some great ideas on how to improve your business. So a couple of quick housekeeping announcements. First, this is going to be recorded, so you'll have an opportunity to watch it and share it with your friends and family. And secondly, you can submit questions via chat. So I don't know if many of you recognize this first slide, but it's from one of my very favorite movies. And the movie is Field of Dreams. It's from 1988 and stars Kevin Costner. And it's an Iowa farmer who hears voices. And the voices tell him that if he builds it, they will come. And he did. He plowed his cornfield down and built a baseball field. And lo and behold, ghosts of famous dead players come and play baseball on it. And his father's one of the players. So it's really a very touching film. And why am I talking about this? Why is Wayne talking about this? Well, I think in many ways your industry was a field of dreams, that if you built it, they would come. You know, if you had a fairly decent location, you provided the good service that you're providing right now, you took care of your patients in a safe and efficient manner, and your business could thrive. Well, I don't need to tell you how things have changed. You know, between declining reimbursements, clawbacks, mail order, you know, you guys have in some instances a tough go of it, and it's not a field of dreams anymore, but it can be. And what I'm hoping to come across today with the message to you is that it's possible to overcome these challenges. And I've talked to some other businesses, and I'm going to share information with you tonight who have overcome it, and I know you're capable of doing it. So a couple big priorities today are, we're going to share a couple of major topics. Some of the topics are going to hopefully help you think critically, and it can, if you apply yourself, think critically. And secondly, we're going to bounce back with some ideas that I believe you can use tomorrow. Because very often I've taught you know, strategy, and quite often say that's great, but can you help me tomorrow? So I'm going to try to balance both of those as we go through today. So our agenda, we're going to cover four major areas. One is we're going to define some terms. I'm going to define marketing, branding, and something called blue ocean strategy. Then we're going to talk about really the core of your brand, and that's your vision, mission, and values. And why is that the core of your brand? Because I believe if you can solidify those three components and make that part of your HR, make it part of your marketing and your messaging and how you treat and how you talk to people, it can be the most important part of your overall branding. The most effective form of marketing isn't advertising, it's word of mouth. Advertising is an adjunct to that, and it's really important that you develop great word of mouth. I'm sure you are, but my goal tonight is to help you polish the apple. So next we're going to talk about some best practice marketing examples, and I have had the great opportunity to interview 3 successful IPC pharmacies, and I'm going to share with you some of their stories tonight. And finally, as I said, there's going to be some ideas you can use tomorrow, and those are called brand smarts. And I'm going to be popping those up at intervals. Normally, when I do this, when we can do it in a room with people in it, actually, I'll have little pictures around the room, and the audience then gets to pick the picture. Unfortunately, we can't do that tonight, so they're just going to be sprinkled through the presentation. All right, so key takeaways. So 6 key takeaways. One is and this came through my experience and was really reinforced by the pharmacies that I interviewed, and that's to focus locally. Two areas of that. One is some industry terms here, B2C, which stands for business to consumer, and B2P, which stands to business to physician, and that's your outreach to local physicians. And the theory there is you've got to own your local area well, and always mind that like a good gardener. Secondly, you've got to have a digital commitment. Third, and I think this is the most important subtopic today, is leverage your data. And next month is going to be an amazing follow-up to this by a company called Independent RX. And they're actually going to dovetail the information I'm talking about tonight and help you leverage your data so you can do marketing more than just guessing. You can actually use data to better market. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit tonight. Fourth major takeaway is strategy first, then tactics. Fifth is, it's consistent with all the successful pharmacies that I talk to, is that they invest in the long term. Success takes time. And I can't tell you how many times I've talked to advertisers, not just pharmacists, but the hundreds of companies I've had the honor of talking with, and they said, "Oh, I tried that once and it didn't work." Well, once isn't enough. You've really got to make a long-term commitment to your marketing. I'm not saying you don't change things that don't work, but you got to be sure you invest in the long term. And then again, be sure to attend IPC's next webinar, which is the conclusion of what we're talking about tonight. All right, so our first concept, our first brand smart is a picture of a big building. So what that refers to is large employers within your area. And I have a friend, he sells tires. He had a tire business. And I said, "What was one of the most successful things you did to start your business?" He said, "You know what, Wayne, I went to every large corporation around me and talked to them and said, hey, if you'll pass out these coupons to your employees, I'll give them special deals on their automobile repair. And guess what? I'll pick them up and bring them back to work." And he got a lot of clients because of that. Well, so can you. Your contact in these businesses is the HR director, if there is one. If not, ask to talk to the CEO. And those people have a lot of interests. But the interests that are important to us are they want to keep their employees healthy and they want to help them save time. And you can do that. You can help keep their employees productive. So the conversation is, hey, I'd like to help you keep your employees more productive and help them save time. And we're going to do our best to help them save money. If you'll hand out our brochures and have them reach out to us, we can provide them with free confidential delivery of their medications at work. We can also help keep them compliant, because then your employees are using and taking the medications that they should on a regular basis. So this idea with all the other ones, I'm running through kind of quickly, but at the end, I'm going to give you my email address. If you have any questions or like any of these ideas and you didn't quite get it drinking from the fire hose tonight, reach out to me, because our sincere goal is to help you be successful. And if we take a few minutes on the phone and help you do that, then we've won. So special thanks to some IPC members who we had the chance to interview. One was Harpreet Gill from Sacramento, Kevin Dang from San Jose, and Holly Altenberger from Sun Prairie. And their wisdom is scattered throughout this. Some of their success stories will be elaborated greatly as we go on, but also a huge thanks to IPC. I had some technical issues getting hooked up on Teams, and these people worked late at night to be sure this could flow smoothly, and knock wood that it does flow smoothly. But it's seldom I meet such a caring group of people who are really vested in your success. So congratulations on being with IPC. I can't speak highly enough of them, and I want to congratulate you on being part of the IPC family. So let's go old school for a second, if we can, and talk about what marketing is. Now, this is one of the frameworks that I'm going to give you that you can use to start thinking about your business in a way you may not have broken down and thought about it before. So the old school concept of marketing is called the 4 Ps: product, price, place, and promotion. So let's talk about those 4 components as they relate to your industry, the pharmacy industry. There's 2 kind of areas within the product, 2 buckets, I guess, if you will. One I'm going to call passive, and the second is active. So the passive product that you sell is pretty much dependent upon what their scripts are when they come in the door, right? And your current profile. But there's really great value in that, and I'll give you an example of how you can mine that data to be more successful. If you have an opportunity to take a look at your script portfolio and find out what scripts you have high profitability and that you're doing good, that are good for your business, and that you also have a lot of, and then ask yourself, can I get more patients like that? That's one way you can actually begin utilizing data to help better find what we call bright spots. Those are bright spots in your business that you're already doing good in that you can expand. And and I'm not ashamed to talk about profit for you. There's a concept, no margin, no mission. And I believe that every one of you are doing great things for your community, and it's okay. It's okay to focus on areas where you make a fair or a good profit. That helps support all the other things that you do that, frankly, we all know aren't so profitable. All right, the other bucket under product is active, and that's where you have a lot greater control of the product that you offer. And that refers to your planogram. What's your over-the-counter strategy? Are you into supplements? Are you into nutraceuticals? Are you compounding? Are you specialty pharmacy? So there are ways you can actually manage your product. And again, the best ways to really figure that out is to understanding your marketplace, and I'm going to show you some ways to do that. And also really running the numbers and do a data-based concept before you expand. All right, place. So kind of you are where you are, right? That's exactly what place is, but there's also a place where you can go. The last Brand Smart I talked about was going to HR directors and seeing if they're interested in helping you provide free delivery to their employees. So you can extend the place with that. There are also LTC opportunities. So where else can you affect the place bubble in your marketing mix to affect your business? The third is price. So for prescriptions, you guys know more about that than I do, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot of flexibility, except if you have adjunct lines where you can help better control the price and certainly control the profitability. So areas such as compounding, specialties, and over the counter are opportunities for you to affect that. And then the 4th P is what we're going to be talking about mostly tonight, which is promotion or advertising, which in the past, frankly, you didn't need to do. But the message is today, the most successful pharmacies we talk to are doing that, and hopefully we'll get you on the path to better understand and be a little more comfortable doing that. So I love this slide. So branding. What is branding and what's a brand? I'm glad you asked. So a brand is the promises and perceptions about your company. So I've heard in my industry that a lot of folks are going to rebrand this business, which is really a bunch of what comes out the end of this cow. You've built your brand, and if you don't manage your brand, it will be managed for you. But the brand is all about the perceptions and promises that exist already, and those are personal, and you've spent years building those. Okay, so what's brand management? Brand management is understanding and impacting those promises and perceptions for maximum loyalty and profitability. So we're going to talk about a lot of touchy-feely things about vision, mission, and values, and this just isn't to make us feel good. It's also to better manage your customer loyalty as well as your profitability. All right, second idea for you tonight, second Brand Smart. So I'm a Rotarian. I belong to the Rotary Club of Madison, and this is a slide that is asking you to think about joining a service club if you're not already. So there are a number of service clubs in your community, I'm certain. Rotary, Lions Club, Kiwanis. Those are great clubs to get involved with. It's not a club that you'll go and sell yourself, but I guarantee you if you go and take the time, you'll accomplish a couple things. Number one, you'll be able to serve your community. And secondly, I think almost as importantly to keep your longevity strong is you'll get new business from it and you'll make friends and people will do business with you and your network will grow. So the other ancillary idea with this is to join and be active in your local chamber of commerce. Many chambers actually have healthcare committees, and on those committees are the movers and shakers of your healthcare community. You may actually meet some doctors who you can actually build relationships and extend your script counts. Now, I'm not saying you join this just for business, but isn't it great to be able to join an organization where you can do good for your community and also do good for your business? And that's where service clubs and your local chambers come into play. All right, kind of a scary slide. My wife hates sharks. In fact, our first date, first time we met, we saw Jaws, and I can remember that whole summer she would not go into a lake. And we live in the Midwest. I don't think there are many sharks here, but this is really an amazing concept that I'm going to dig deep in here for just a couple of minutes, and it's called Blue Ocean Strategy. And the concept is to push your boundaries and stay out of the bloody water. And the bloody water is a metaphor for trying to compete with your competition. And right now, the water's bloody with department stores, big boxes, the chains. Yeah, it's bloody and it's tough to compete. So how can you compete and win without being in the bloody water? And that's what Blue Ocean Strategy is all about. So Red Ocean Strategy is competing in the existing marketplace. Your goal is to beat the competition. You want to exploit the existing demand and not necessarily create new demand. It's really struggling with the value cost trade-off and competing just on price. And it really aligns the whole system with your activities, and the strategic choice is differentiation or low cost. Now, those, certainly make some sense to me, but Blue Ocean is kind of a different way of thinking about that. And in a Blue Ocean Strategy, you create an uncontested market space. And we've got one case history today that has done that in a way very few probably can, frankly, but it's a great story of success. Second is to make the competition irrelevant, capture new demand, and break the value cost trade-off, and really align the whole system in pursuit of differentiation. So let me give you an example of that. And I want to take you back to the 1980s. In Canada, there were a bunch of what they were called crazy people who had a vision of what a circus could be, what a modern circus could be. Traditional circuses were lighthearted affairs toward children and lots of animals, low price, kind of shady. And at 1980, Cirque du Soleil was born. And they changed the whole paradigm, and that's a perfect example of the Blue Ocean Strategy. I just realized I'm not trying to compare your businesses to circuses. Please don't misunderstand me. I know some days my life and business feels like a circus, but the metaphor is just to maybe share you how you can think of the same thing in a different way and reshape it and generate new success because of it. And there are ways to do that by better understanding your data. So let me give you a real world example of Blue Ocean Strategy so you can understand it and then maybe think about what other opportunities you have in Blue Ocean Strategy to make yourself more successful. So one of the concepts in Blue Ocean Strategy is called value innovation. And it's created when your actions favorably affect the cost structure and the value you provide. So within value innovation, cost goes down and value goes up. So confusing? Yeah, but let me give you an example that some of you are doing right now that is incredible value innovation. And it's not right for everyone, but the example I'm talking about is MedSync, something you're very familiar with. So once you achieve around 40% of MedSync, until you get to 40%, it's probably a bit of a struggle for you. But I want to talk about businesses that are successful at MedSync and really are cranking it. And they're over 40% of their patient count in MedSync. A magic thing happens. It's called a tipping point. And at that tipping point, there's great efficiency for your business and savings for your business, cost savings. So what happens when you get to about 40% of MedSync is that your overall costs go down, you're better managing your inventory, and more effectively controlling your workflow. Your buyer value also increases too, because you can tell me better on the health outcomes of someone who's compliant with their medication and who isn't. So not only are you aiding the buyer in this, you're also aiding the buyer's physician. So this is, I think, a perfect example of how your industry's really created value in innovation. And the question is, you probably can't answer right now, but I challenge you to think about is where else can you add value innovation within this formula to help be more successful? Because the benefits are just so amazing. I could get off on a sidetrack and I won't do that. So I do want to say I have two goals for tonight. One goal is for you to grasp on one of the more strategic concepts and use that to think about a way to improve your business. Go through the thought process that hopefully I've shared with you to figure out some new innovations for your business. And the second is just to walk away with one quick idea that you can try to implement. So if we can accomplish those two things, you will make me very happy, because my goal is to help you be more successful. And I know there's a lot of people at IPC who feel exactly the same way. All right, so third, brand smart. So this is to let you know that direct mail is not dead. In fact, I believe it's stronger than ever. So a concept for you, if you're interested in targeting a geographic area around your business, where you can actually target specific postal routes by demographic profiles, so you can know the age, the income of the people around you. There's a tool right now, a very effective lower cost tool called EDDM, and it stands for Every Door Direct Mail. And what it is a postal program where you can send out postcards. They're not addressed, but they're to the occupant of an individual postal routes within your area. So you can be very specific in getting information to a geographic area around you, which is one of the key takeaways, is really dominating and being very, very successful in your local area. Because if you can't be successful around you in a close proximity, you won't be successful miles away. So I would check out if you're interested in this. The post office has a lot of information on it. But my only caution is be sure you're at the U.S. Postal Service, because there's a lot of companies who pretend like they're the post office and offer EDDM services. But if you're interested, check it out. Be sure you're on the Postal Service. It's a really remarkable program. If you want more information, reach out. We can certainly help you as well. All right, so I'm going to take a drink of water and we're going to talk about some data. So I apologize if this is if this is pretty small. I know it's it's a little small for me, but there's a number of data services that are out there that can give you some amazing and powerful information about your pharmacy. This happens to be from a pharmacy we worked with in North Dakota, and I hope Virginia is watching tonight. Hi, Virginia. And this happens to be a 3-mile radius around her pharmacy. And some of the takeaways that we were able to get from this data, I'll share with you right now. Virginia is in a pretty healthy marketplace. How do we know that? Well, we look at two things. On the right, there's something called the MPI, and that stands for index. So 100 is average, below 100 is below average, and above 100 is above average. Pretty Makes sense, right? That relates to the national average. Then you can also look at the amount of the total adults. So in this marketplace, there's I start by looking at the MPIs. So it's a marketplace that does a lot of exercise. They proactively work out and diet, not because they're unhealthy, but because they want to stay healthy. And believe me, that's data that is available through seeing these numbers. And as a proof point, when you look at the amount of vitamins and supplements, 20,000 adults in a 3-mile radius are using vitamins and dietary supplements in the last 6 months. So for me, that says, hey, we should look at that as something to focus on for our business. I mean, there's other ESRI reports I've looked at, and you can see significant diet because of obesity, significant issues with blood sugar and diabetes, and that's a completely different story. And that's also a different way that you would create your product. Remember, product, price, place, promotion. So this data helps you, and you're going to learn a lot more about data and common sense ways to get data in the next webinar next month. So this is one takeaway of the data that we got from this location. Let me go on to another one. The other information that we can get from ESRI is what type of prescription drugs people are using within your marketplace. So if you've been in business for a while, you can look at this and say, wow, how am I doing? Am I getting my fair share of these patients, or am I getting an unfair share and I'm doing, exceptionally good? It's just a way for you to get a little better handle on what your market is and maybe what you're missing in the marketplace. The other information we got from this, when we look at where people fill their prescription drugs at, in this particular marketplace, the majority is drugstores, pharmacies, surprisingly low in discount department stores, supermarkets. Mail order is there, but not significantly concerning to us. So within this, the realization is our competition is chains. In other markets, you wouldn't believe how this flip-flops, and you can see it's the Walmarts that we're competing with. So data can help you better understand who you're competing with, and within that, you can focus on your right benefit pillars. And benefit pillars are the things that you do well, that you promote about your business, that's based upon the information you've gotten about your marketplace. Final slide with little teeny type, I promise, is the overall medical expenditures within your marketplace. What can you do with this? You can find out what your market share is and what your goal could be. So you can actually get a concept of the exact amount of money being spent in the marketplace. One thing we noticed from this is there's a pretty high TRICARE. It's 165%. So it's 65% above average of people in the 3-mile radius with TRICARE, which is something you could promote, especially if there's a lack of pharmacies around you offering that. Yeah, so this is about messaging. So if you talk to people the way advertising talk to people, they punch you in the face. So Lori and I were in the car a couple of months ago. It was in the summer, and we were listening to the radio, terrestrial radio, and this commercial came on. And the guy started shouting at us, and he goes, "At blank Ford, we have the best prices." And there was this super loud clang. And then they said, "We have the best service," super loud clang. "We have the best selection." And it got to the third clang, and Lori turned it off. She goes, what is that? What are they doing to us? And we realized and talked about it that the guy was trying to make a point, and after every point, they had a sound effect of a metal hammer hitting an anvil. And it was the most annoying thing in the world. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because messaging is one of my specialties, and I have a passion for it. So how we talk to people is really important, and I'm not advocating that any of you would do that, but we need to be careful that we're talking to people in a polite and professional manner. And I don't know a lot of pharmacies that abuse this. I know some pharmacies that do it incredibly well, and I'm going to show you a TV commercial in a little while. But I stuck this in there because I happen to love this saying and love telling the story, and I hope you enjoyed it. All right, so next, brand smart. So this is the importance of being found. So it breaks my heart when I learn how many pharmacies don't have fully functional self-standing websites. And boy, a few years ago, I heard the percentage, no one really knows exactly, but we're guessing it's somewhere between 50 and 60%, which is a shame. And it's a shame for a number of reasons. Number one, the yellow pages are dead. You know, if there was an active yellow page opportunity, I think I'd be a lot less forceful, or at least vehement, on recommending you get a website. But if you don't have a website, you're not getting found. And there's a certain generation of your customers, and I hate saying this, but I was talking to one of my sons about this, and he said, "And Dad, I probably wouldn't go to a pharmacy that doesn't have a website, because to me that shows that they're really behind the times. And I want someone that's at least current in the technology." So, you know, you don't need to be a rocket science to get a great website. There's lots of great services out there. We can certainly give you some advice on that. But there are hundreds of thousands of searches on every quarter, and those searches are pharmacy near me or drugstore near me. And who are those people? Those are part of the 25% of the population that moves every year, that moved into a neighborhood, that are looking for a pharmacy. And if you don't have a website and you're not registered on Google My Business, you're missing out. You're missing out on folks. So I mentioned Google My Business. If you have a website, or even if you don't have a website, one thing you can do tomorrow is go to Google My Business and claim your business. What that'll do is at least give you, if you don't have a website, some cursory search ability to be found through search. And if you have a website, it'll certainly strengthen your SEO, which stands for search engine optimization. So hope I didn't overstep my bounds on that. But please, if you don't have a website, it's really important that you do. All right. So now we're going to move on to another area, and that's vision, mission, and values. And I think this is important for a number of reasons. Number one, it helps you determine how you talk to people. It helps you understand more about what you expect from your employees. And it's really the foundation of your overall brand. So 3 components: vision, mission, and values. And I'm going to give you some real quick tips on how to prepare these documents, and hopefully by the time we're done, an understanding on why they're important. So what's a vision? And there's a million different definitions of vision, mission, and values. I like to keep it simple. And I believe the most effective definition is it's a 1-sentence statement describing the clear and inspirational long-term purpose for you and your pharmacy. So how do you come up with a vision? It just takes some time. Figure out, well, here's some do's. Number one, it needs to be clear and simple. Please avoid buzzwords. To be the preferred partner pharmacy and exceed our customers' expectations are really blah blah. It's important to make it from the heart and clear and genuine. It needs to be easily explainable and recognized as yours, exclusively yours. And when we're done, I'm going to share a vision statement with you to hopefully make it a little clearer. So the other thing you can do with this too is that if you have key staff in your organization, you can bring them in and go through some of these exercises. And you know, if you're really looking for a lot more information, just Google "how do I write a vision statement." There's tons of stuff online, but please think about this and consider getting this on paper. And I'll give you more reasons why it's important as we go on. So some vision building questions you can ask you and a few key staff, but I would ask you, why are you in this business? Why did you choose this career? What do you want to change about your community? What's your dream and what's success look like? You know, explain that. And I know most of you are probably introverted. I hope I'm not being unprofessional, but a lot of the pharmacies that I talk to are very smart, very caring, but not necessarily someone who wants to stand out in front of the crowd or give speeches, right? But there's a reason you got into this business, and your vision is exactly what that ultimate goal is. So here's a sample vision. This came from a pharmacy in New Jersey that is in a very depressed neighborhood and part of an inner city that is crumbling. And this company was taken over by a son of the owner, and he said, hey, I want to do a number of things. I want to be a role model, and I want to be inspiration in two things: in building a healthier community. And it's not just healthier of his patients, but also a healthier business community. But I just happen to love this, and this is from the heart. And as you see, this then rolls into the mission. Oh, we're going to interrupt the mission for another idea. So I love the concept of free vitamins for children. Talk to IPC or McKesson and see if there's a way for you to get maybe a monthly supply of vitamins on a regular basis, and advertise that you're the pharmacy that wants to be sure that children at least get the vitamins they require, and that if you come in once a month into the pharmacy, you can join the free Vitamins for Kids Club and get vitamins for your children. Just I think a real neat promotion, and it's kind of a sticky concept. Free is a very powerful word. And I think the pharmacies that do this will continue to do it because they're finding it to be successful in generating goodwill and bringing new people in, and also helping children at least get the vitamins they need if they're not already. So, okay, back on track, building your mission statement. So a mission statement is what you do and how you do it. It's a one sentence describing how you reach your vision, and it helps you guide decisions about your priorities, actions, and responsibilities. So it'll help when you're producing this. It shares how you'll accomplish your vision. Again, watch the buzzwords, and again, easily explainable and recognized as yours. So a sample vision of the company I mentioned briefly is: with an unwavering commitment to continuous improvement and customer service, we are dedicated to improving the health of our patients, customers, and community. And with that, this company invested a lot of money in a total rehab of their facility, made it more customer friendly, made it more accessible to all their customers. And along with that, became a role model in helping redevelop an impoverished downtown area. And I just love this concept because they're also using this as an HR tool. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a second after we talk about values. So value statements are, you know, the characteristics that are important to you for you and your staff, right? So some ideas on how to figure out what your values are: when are you the happiest? When are you the most proud of your staff? What do you want to be remembered for? What's your unbreakable brand promise? Next, prioritize those and weave those out. It takes some word crafting, but I promise you it'll be worth the effort. This is also a great opportunity to bring in your staff and have them help work through this with you and have them be part of it, and you'll get their buy-in. So where this comes in is that this can be an excellent tool when you hire people and also for your regular employee reviews. So here's sample values from the pharmacy I mentioned in New Jersey, and they have 5 of them. It's recognized that positive human interaction will affect our customers' entire experience. So within that, they redid the store, they cleaned the store, they actually opened up the space and made it more friendly and bright. They also hired additional staff because they realized they weren't taking care of their customers as well as they could. Continuous improvement and positive growth. Always consider our patients' needs first. Become a role model for other businesses in the community, and they became very active in their local business organizations and chamber. and find joy in serving our community and the work we do. So this can be a great HR tool in interviewing folks, as well as your checklist on how you're gonna rate your employees on the job they've done. This is just not necessarily a great example of prose or writing, but I just love the way this company laid this out: vision, mission, and core values. So they used words within their core values, but then explained to them. So when you get this deck, you can maybe use that as a model if you decide to move ahead with this exercise. So here's some examples of this company's website and how they used those vision, mission, and values as actual customer-facing copy. So together we can empower a healthier and happier community. Welcome to the new pharmacy. We're locally owned family business dedicated to our community, and we're continually improving our store and the services we offer. Si habla español. Finally, they did something really cool, which is another big takeaway for you. This is called benefit pillars, and it's the key areas of your competitive advantage. Sometimes it's called the USP, or unique selling proposition. And some of you, or all of you, have between three and six, maybe 3 and 7 of these. So for this organization, I said we studied the data when they did the remodeling and found out there was a significant opportunity within the diabetic marketplace. They had a very low percentage of diabetic patients, but the data indicated there were a lot of them out there that needed their help. So they started a test strip program. And if people with diabetes could receive all of their prescriptions at Value Mart, then they receive test strips and a free meter. Pretty cool program for them. It's working well. They've negotiated strongly to keep the cost down on those items, so they are profitable. Other benefit pillars were one-trip fill prescription program, free delivery, convenience items, home health care, and free children's vitamins. So benefit pillars, a big idea. So I think if you take anything away from today as far as an idea to work on, is what are your benefit pillars? What are the things you need to be absolutely sure that you're promoting to all your existing customers and that you're promoting to new customers? So this is an example that I love, and this is a local kind of a summer mobile home park in the area by us. And this is, I think, the best example of someone creating a vision and living it. So this area used to be an incredible eyesore. There were a number of issues associated with this facility. It was run down. It was a mess. But over the months of driving past this facility, I noticed that the new owner came in and he improved the roads. He improved the landscaping. He removed old trailers. And then one day I drove past and took a picture of this sign, and it's welcome home. And it dawned on me what this person's vision is. This guy isn't just in business to rent property. He's in business, and a lot of people live here throughout the whole summer. And he realized that, you know, these people couldn't afford lake homes on the lake, McMansions, and there are a few of those around here. But they needed a nice place to live away from their home. Most of them are elderly, and they move here from the city to have a nice place to live in the summer. And it dawned on me that his mission isn't just to collect rent, which was the previous owners, and not spend a penny on approving it. His job was to create a place where people could live for the summer and be safe in a clean environment that they deserve to call home, where they could feel welcome and deserving. And it just is so cool to me that he would put this sign up and say, welcome home. It explains why he's done everything and why the business is flourishing, because it's done a 180. It's grown significantly. All the vacant trailers that they had problems with are gone, and there's new park homes coming in on a regular basis, and it's flourishing. So this is kind of just an example of how, you know, a vision, mission, and values can be inculcated and living proof of how you operate your business. All right, so a few quick case histories real quick. So this is O'Connell Pharmacy, and their slogan is making lives better one family at a time. So Holly explained to me when they first opened their pharmacy, they really focused on word of mouth, which again is the most important concept of your business. It's managing perceptions and expectations of your customers, which, believe me, you'll see at the end here, you guys do well than a lot of other types of pharmacies in the United States. But she also said that this focus alone, although it was slow and steady and grew their business initially, wasn't enough to get them where they wanted to go. But what they were really focused on, and still are, to get off the ground, was a local focus. They were active in community events. They worked very, very hard at bending over backwards at meeting local doctors and servicing the heck out of those doctors. And why that's been so important and valuable to them is that, you know, as you know, with mergers and acquisitions, you know, clinics now are part of large conglomerates. So one doctor may be connected to 15 or 20 other clinics, and she said we're getting business from more and more of the ancillary clinics because they started with a local concept and they've really stuck with local. But they realized to grow their business, she said, they needed a market. One of the things she's done that's so surprising to me that's effective is television. They've been running television for about 10 years. They're running in their local news stations targeting older adults and older children of those adults. And I'll show you a commercial in a second. But Holly said you got to make sure your message is different and something that will stand out, not with an anvil pounding, but with good creative. And that's why they focused on children and parents, children with parents who need med boxes. The other thing they're doing, which is really cool, is they're providing medical minutes. So the station is allowing them, Holly, to actually do medical minutes on the station that are advice. They still pay for them, but they pay for a lot less than they would a normal commercial. And this might be something you could do if you're comfortable speaking either on camera or on the radio. Call your local radio station and say, hey, would you be interested in me providing you a medical minute that you could play that would provide valuable health information? That helps the station fulfill their FCC requirements to operate in the public's interest. And it also allows you to be an expert and get some airtime at a reduced cost. When asked Holly how she decides on what service they're going to provide, she said, we take a lot of ideas and look into them from a strategic standpoint. For example, they considered specialty pharmacy and realized that, you know, it was a significant expense to start up and it was really difficult to break into. And they ran the numbers very carefully and realized that that wasn't in the best interest for them. So I'm sure she'd be happy to give you information if you're looking in what their strategy was for that. Other than that, in a month, you're going to be getting opportunities to hear from experts who can also give you advice on that. She also works with the School of Pharmacy in Madison and Milwaukee and has students come in. She uses those students to get background on new trends and also to explore opportunities. She actually used those students to look into the specialty program and find information that she didn't necessarily have time to dig up. She said they do take time, but it's been a lifesaver for them in utilizing those students. So when asked what's the most important thing she's learned, she goes, I learned to enjoy it. I learned that I have the critical skills to think this through, to make good advertising choices, to market my business. But she also said that she knows when to hire professionals to help. It'll be worth the money. And I did not pay her for that comment. That was an honest comment that came from her. So without further ado, I'll play you her commercial.
I leave for work at 7:30 in the morning and I get home at 6:30. And when you are dealing with an elderly parent, 6:30 at night is not the time to go and make sure they took their medications. O'Connell Pharmacy does med boxes that are delivered to her. The pills are already dispensed for her. If she did not have this medication delivery service, she would have to go to assisted living. I would recommend this service to anybody who has a parent who is struggling with taking their medications. O'Connell Pharmacy was there for us.
Great commercial. I mean, I think that was really well done. So thank you for that, Holly. All right, Kevin Dang. So Kevin is a bit talk about blue ocean strategy. Okay. Kevin owns a building where a clinic's located, and the doctors in the building are his tenants and pay him rent. And Kevin says we own convenience. What does that mean? That means their goal is to have the prescription ready for the patient before they leave the treatment room. Now he's in an enviable position, and not everyone can have that type of luxury. But he also does a lot of other things, even though he doesn't necessarily have to, that has made his business even more robust. And that's a local commitment. He participates in all healthcare events. They provide free pens, free vitamins, blood pressure, diabetic checks. They're involved in walkathons, breast cancer, Alzheimer walkathons. Kevin's on most of those, and he gets a lot of questions. And he says, most of the people that come up to me think chains are the only option, because we don't have the advertising exposure or the corner location necessarily that they do. But he said it's been vital in reaching hundreds of people over the years and letting them know that they can switch to Evergreen Pharmacy. So again, his concepts are convenience rules, and he also believes that these events help pay back to his community. All right, so next. Case history is Harpreet Gill Wellness Pharmacy. So when asked if marketing's been successful, Harp says we've grown tremendously since we opened about 1.5 years ago, and it's because of our marketing on Facebook, Yelp, and Google. And they've done a lot of in-person advertising at doctors' offices and senior care facilities. So that relates back to the local, owning the local. They've worked very hard at doctor detailing. I can tell you, working with a number of startup pharmacies, the consistent element of the most successful pharmacies are doctor detailing. Now, I know that's tough right now with COVID, but there are ways you can figure out how to still make connections with doctors and senior centers in your area if that's appropriate. He also said there's a direct correlation between advertising and the growth of our business, and he recommends developing a marketing plan. And he also is very insistent that the community needs to be aware of some of the unique services that we offer, like free delivery, compliance packaging, and immunizations. And one of my favorite quotes is, if they're not constantly reminded via marketing, they will choose the chain pharmacy down the street, and we'll miss out on reaching them. So speaking of ways to reach physicians during this COVID deal that we're all dealing with, is LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is an amazing way to reach physicians, and the opportunity for you on LinkedIn is you can actually search within a geographic area and ask LinkedIn to show you information on all the physicians within a radius around your business. You can then ask those physicians to link in with you and hook up with you. Once you do that, they become part of your LinkedIn family. And when you post information on your LinkedIn page, some of them will see that. There's also paid opportunities on LinkedIn as well to specifically reach physicians. One opportunity is the Sales Navigator on LinkedIn. So for $80 a month, you can get the Sales Navigator, and you're allowed to send 20 what's called in-mails. And you can send out 20 in-mails to 20 physicians, 20 different physicians every month, and say, normally I'd be stopping in person, but because of COVID, I just want to let you know we're here to help you, help your patients be more compliant, or if you have any issues with patients struggling to pay for their medication, maybe we can figure out ways to help them. Or certainly if you're a compounding agency, you can give them opportunities too. So I could spend a whole webinar on LinkedIn, but I'll just give you that nugget of information if that's something you're interested in, because awareness breeds familiarity, which breeds trust, which brings new business. Not a lot of time to get into this tonight, but Facebook is an incredibly powerful opportunity. It takes discipline and it takes some time. Not a ton of time, but if you can dedicate 15 minutes to a half hour a week, you can be successful on Facebook. And I'm sorry there isn't more time. We can maybe do more if we have a future opportunity to talk. So back to our key takeaways. So focus locally, be successful in a radius around your business. And I think you heard that from the best practice pharmacies that we talked to. Same with digital commitment. You've got to have a digital commitment, at least a website and Google My Business. If that then works, then you can think about social media applications such as Facebook. Leverage your data, and you're going to hear a lot more about that. And please, this next webinar is going to be as if not more important than the information I'm giving you, so please tune in. Remember, strategy first, then tactics. There's a lot of ideas on what to do, but figuring out what's the purpose, what are our objectives, then figure out the tactics. Think and invest in long-term. Success takes time. And again, be sure to attend the next webinar. So the last idea I have for you, these scrolls actually represent bag stuffers. So bag stuffers are a big idea in remembering the most important source of new business for your pharmacy is your existing patients. So what can you give them that they walk away with every time they get a prescription, their prescription bag? How about OTC bucks? That everyone for the next month gets $1 off on an OTC product to help them realize you've got OTC stock. Bounce back coupons, 50% off, buy one, get one. Something if you're selling premium vitamins. Referral requests. Hey, if you love our pharmacy, please tell a friend. New product and new service announcements. Let them know you're doing. You've got Shingrix. You've got it's flu season, and they need their flu shots. So please remember, and ideally, if you get email addresses of all of your patients too, that's a really strong and powerful way to continue to market to them. So I'm going to end with a thank you for what you do. Now, the challenge with Consumer Reports is we're not allowed to use this information to market, but study after study continues to indicate that independent pharmacies earn high scores according to Consumer Reports, and I'll read you the results of the survey. Independent pharmacies earned high scores on such measures as courtesy, helpfulness, and speed of checkout and filling prescriptions, as well as pharmacists' knowledge and accuracy. At the bottom of this ranking is large national chain pharmacies. People want to be treated as individual as possible, so independent pharmacies are focused on the relationship. Half of the Consumer Report members filled out the survey said that their independent pharmacist knows them by name. And as far as drugstores go, it's only 14%. Now, I know that the work you're doing is way more than knowing them by name. By knowing them by name, you got a feeling how they're feeling, and you're able to provide them with healthcare support that they're just not going to get anywhere else. So with that, thank you. Keep fighting the good fight and keep going. With that, we've had a few questions in, and I'm just going to take a second to answer one, and we'll answer all of them moving on. Via email. I'll be responding to all of the questions, but let me just answer one and then we'll wrap. I know it's close to an hour, so thank you for your patience. Let's see. How do we get started on marketing on the internet? Great question. So number one, be sure you have a website. Number two, register at Google My Business. And if you're able to start on Facebook, search and see what others are doing. Get on Facebook and search for community pharmacies, see what others are doing. If you're not web savvy, you got to have a tech or someone in your pharmacy that is. Ask them to work with you on it and be your friend and help partner with you to do it. There's lots of video training. There's lots of video training online for that that can help you. Yeah. Oh, and finally, I think the last thing I'd suggest is if you're doing social media, people are going to mostly respond to content that's valuable. It's not about just selling. In fact, it's mostly about birthdays. It's about useful information that they can use. And it's the way you talk to someone at a cocktail party. You provide them with good, useful information. So I could talk a lot more on that, but out of respect to your time, we'll move on. So with that, I want to sincerely thank you for your time tonight. Watch your email. you're going to get a recording of this webinar, and then we'll be answering the questions that I'm sorry I couldn't get to today. And a reminder again that on October 28th, Mark Nelson, an incredibly smart young man from Independent RX, is going to help you learn how to leverage the data you have to be more successful. And finally, I'm really proud to say that in partnership with IPC, FarmFresh is going to be providing an e-commerce website, or a website with marketing opportunities for you to purchase products and services through us at an exclusive IPC discount. So we're still putting that together, but thank you, IPC, for letting us reach out, or at least offer your customers ways that they can better market their business. And we'll have lots of products and services available on that. So with that, I've got exactly an hour into the webinar. I hope you found this successful. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out at any time. We're happy to help you.